With just 11 days to go until Election Day, both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are visiting a non-battleground state today to court voters, more specifically podcast listeners. The vice president is taping an interview in Houston with podcast host Brene Brown. The former president is doing the same in Austin with podcaster Joe Rogan. Afterwards, Trump will travel to Michigan for a rally in Traverse City. Meanwhile, Harris will remain in Houston for a rally tonight, where superstar Beyonce is expected to make an appearance. Earlier today, she told reporters the focus of this event will be women's reproductive rights.
Elected leaders of Texas, a lot of them, have made Texas ground zero in this fundamental fight for the freedom of women to make decisions about their own body. So tonight we will be discussing the impact of that, not only to the women of Texas and their families, but to people around the country because of Trump abortion bans.
Elsewhere in Texas, the former president slammed Harris's handling of the border.
We're here today in the great state of Texas, which I like it. I like it. Which under Kamala Harris has been turned into ground zero for the largest border invasion in the history of the world.
Nancy, let's start with you. A lot of us are familiar with Brene Brown, researcher, storyteller, works a lot with shame and vulnerability. What audience is the vice president trying to tap by appearing on her podcast, and what can we expect them to discuss?
She is looking to tap women in particular, Lindsay. Brene Brown, a household name for many women. She had a very successful podcast about relationships. And so this won't be your typical political sit-down interview. It'll probably be a softer interview, although there's one political issue that will definitely come up, which is abortion, because Brown, who doesn't wade into politics very often, has been outspoken about the abortion ban here in Texas. She said it's not meant to protect life, it is meant to protect power. And that is part of the reason that Harris is coming to this state, a non-battleground state, as you pointed out, in the first place. She is looking to make an example of Texas, which put into place a couple of years ago a tough new abortion ban that restricts abortion after a fetal heartbeat or cardiovascular activity is detected. That's often as early as 5 or 6 weeks, when most women don't even know they are pregnant yet. And so she is going to speak out against that. She's going to bring women up on the stage here in Houston who can talk about some of the health impacts that have affected them when they weren't able to get the care that they needed in a timely fashion. And it's really one of the cornerstones of her closing argument in this race, Lindsay.
Nancy, thank you. And after the vice president tapes an interview with podcast host Brene Brown, she'll head to a rally in Houston alongside Beyonce. The city is the singer's hometown. Harris often plays Beyonce's song Freedom at campaign events, but this will be her first campaign appearance. Country singer Willie Nelson will also be at the event. And CBS News campaign reporter Libby Cathey from Charlotte, North Carolina. Libby, before we get to today's campaign stops, we wanted to ask you about Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Mike Johnson's new statement on ending dangerous rhetoric. The two Republicans claim Harris's comments on Trump being a fascist could invite another assassination attempt. And in part, they say the vice president's words more closely resemble those of President Trump's would-be assassin than her own earlier appeal to civility. Trump certainly hasn't shielded away from controversial rhetoric on the campaign trail. What's the strategy here?
Yeah, exactly, Lindsay. You see this statement from Speaker Johnson and Leader McConnell saying that this type of language could invite another assassination attempt. However, I will note that Trump has also called Harris a fascist before, among several other names we've heard him hurl at the vice president. So there definitely is an escalation of rhetoric here from the former president as well. And that's what we just heard Vice President Kamala Harris say in her press conference. I believe that was our own Aaron Navarro who asked her about those comments about saying that Trump is a fascist, and now this statement from Speaker Johnson and Leader McConnell. It may have actually been another reporter now that I think about it, but still great questions there. And she said, "I'm just saying what the facts are as they are," is what she said. And right now, looking at Trump's rhetoric, she says he fits the definition of a fascist just like Milley has said, just like General Kelly has said. So that would probably be her response to that statement. But I do feel we absolutely have to note, as you have,